Gospel of Mark. Now, what does this Gospel say? In this Gospel, we have 114 sayings of Jesus Christ. What he said. Okay, sayings attributed to Jesus Christ. One of them categorically dismantles the doctrine of the Trinity. Categorically. And what is that? And what is that? And the reason why this Gospel, despite its earlier origin, the reason why this Gospel was thrown out, because how were the current Gospels canonized? Those of you who are interested in this question, how the Gospels, the 4 Gospels were chosen and others rejected. Why were they rejected? Why were these chosen? You want to understand an answer to that question? I had a debate in South Africa very recently, the canon of the Gospels or the canon of the New Testament. I debated a Christian activist in South Africa, and the title of the debate is The Canon of the New Testament. Okay, go and watch that debate and you will see how these Gospels are chosen. They were chosen by the rule of faith. If a Gospel, despite its early nature, contradicts the Christian doctrine, it was thrown out. Even if it came from trustworthy sources. Let me finish.
I disagree with everything you've said.
I'm finishing. Calm down.
I just want to time you.
Yeah, no problem.
It's not a monologue.
Let's time it then. 3 minutes, 3 minutes? Okay.
Well, like 2 minutes.
3 minutes. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes.
Can we
Time
get a timer?
Time me for 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Let me time you.
Time it for 2 minutes. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my purpose here is to educate. It's not to win a debate or lose a debate. I leave this information for the Christians and the Muslims to think about. You go and think about it.
Right.
And if you think I'm saying the truth, accept it. If I'm lying or I'm misrepresenting their faith, don't accept it. No problem. Start. 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Wait, no, it's my turn.
What?
Okay, you take. Then let me finish my point.
Just finish your
I'm
point.
finishing in 10 seconds.
How long is it
10
going
seconds.
for?
10 seconds. 10 seconds. So in the Gospel of Thomas, there is a saying attributed to Jesus that if you want to see,
He's gone.
it says that God is not born of a woman. The Gospel of Thomas has a saying attributed to Jesus Christ. It states God is not born of a woman. Now that is a clear contradiction with the doctrine of the Trinity, because Jesus is God and he was born of a woman. So according to this verse of the Gospel of Thomas, an early version of the teachings of Jesus Christ, God is not born of a woman. He asked me a question. Show me a gospel that contradicts the doctrine of the Trinity. I gave him not only a gospel, I gave him an early gospel that contradicts it. Over to you.
Wow, finally! Right, first of all, everything you said is nonsense. Let me explain this very quickly. Modern scholarship does not affirm the idea that the Gospel of Thomas is a reliable account. Most scholarship, for some reason, like Bart Ehrman, who would also have investigated this, who is an atheist and a head of New Testament scholarship, and that includes Gospels outside of the New Testament, he would have said no, the Gospel of Thomas dates to the 2nd century, nowhere near the 1st century, and definitely not in the same vein of the source of Q, which was an oral, potentially written tradition he mentioned. Scholarship does not affirm that in its majority. He is quoting a very specific scholar to make that account. Most scholars reject it. Look that up. Look at Bart Ehrman's view.
So don't worry. Let me listen to him and I'll respond.
Notice I said to him, show me a gospel which the Quran could say is the Injil that would deny the Trinitarian doctrine. The problem with this is because he's now said one, he's now buried the Quran, because now the Quran has to affirm everything that is found in the Gospel of Thomas. Oh no! There's some really spicy things in the Gospel of Thomas. Does the Quran affirm all those things? No! The Gnostics, which will affirm Gnostic belief. Now we know that the Quran is full of Gnostic teachings. For example, the infancy gospel, the Arabic infancy gospel of Thomas, that says that Jesus breathed life into clay birds and that he spoke from the cradle. That's not original to the Quran. That actually comes from these Gnostic Gospels that came hundreds of years after the time of Jesus. This is why Christians reject them. This is why the church rejects them. Show me a single Christian group inside the church that affirmed any gospel outside of Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. He cannot do it. This is why his Quran is stuck. Because it affirms the Injil. We know what the Injil was at that time. We know what every single Christian group in the world thought the Injil was at that time. And yet he says that the Trinity is wrong. The Christian church believed in the Trinity. Their doctrines support it. Their text supports it. Game over.
2 minutes.
So ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why Chris was not addressing my point on the Gospel of Thomas. He questioned me about a gospel. I gave him the gospel. I gave him the text that contradicts the doctrine of the Trinity directly, so he doesn't have any grounds to stand on. When the Quran mentions the word Injil, it's referring to the original. You're not listening, are you? It's referring to the original. Now the question is, I asked this question. The Quran mentions the word Injil, and even the writings of Paul mention one gospel. It doesn't mention no. Start again. If every time you're going to interrupt me, I'm going to start again. Start again. If I interrupt you, start again. No problem. Okay. Yeah, start again. The Quran mentions the term Injil, and when the Quran says Injil, you're not listening. You're not listening. Because you don't want. Wait, stop my time. No.
Someone was getting
I want. Did I listen to you?
You can still speak.
This guy, when you were speaking, he was trying to tell me things. I told him to stop because I want to listen to you. Because I want to do a fair debate. You're not listening because you don't care about my arguments. The point here is you don't care about my arguments. You don't want to listen to my arguments. Start the time again.
How much have you spoken?
Okay. Listen to me and then respond. He can't help you. This guy.
I don't need any help.
He cannot help you.
He just said the Quran affirms the Gospel of Thomas.
Okay.
He
So
just said the Gospel affirms the Gospel of
start my time
Your
again.
argument, he never said the Quran.
Start my
He
time.
just said the
Okay.
Gospel of Thomas.
Start my time.
Is the
I'm
Injil.
gonna. My time started now again. Ladies and gentlemen, so the Quran mentions the term Injil, which means one gospel. Injil is not plural. It's a singular term. It cannot possibly be referring to therefore gospels. It cannot be. They are the ones imposing that on the Quran because they're blind. They have a Trinitarian lens. They have this church lens, which the Quran says is a disbelieving lens, right? So now, what is the Quran talking about when it says Injil? The Quran is talking about the original teachings of Jesus Christ in his language. My question to him now, and watch him ignore my question. Watch him ignore my question and completely not respond to it. Where is the original Injil of Jesus Christ? The one he himself was preaching. Not what Paul said, not what Matthew said, not what Mark or Thomas or Mary Magdalene and Judas, not these people. What Jesus himself said. Where is that Injil? Number one, what language was it in? Where is the original Torah? Where is the original Torah of Moses? What language was it in? If you do not possess the original works of Jesus and Moses, then what gospel are you talking about? Why do we have to accept Tom, Dick, the gospel of Tom, the gospel of Dick, the gospel of Harry, the gospel of Murphy, the gospel of George, the gospel of, the list goes on, and the gospel of someone who the gospel of someone who laughs like a monkey. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, the point is, this is a joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. Seriously. Okay? The Quran is very consistent. The original Torah of Moses, the original gospel or Injil. I won't even use the word gospel. The Quran is not saying gospel. The Quran is saying Injil, the message of Jesus. It's called Injil. Quran doesn't say gospel or evangelion. It says Injil, right? So now my questions, keep them in mind and watch him ignore. Go ahead, your time. And I'm not going to interrupt.
All right. So his questions, I just have to wait for you to keep going on his monologues. Listen, he made a big mistake. He just said it talks about Injil, not gospel. Wait, Injil, he already affirmed, is an Arabic word for evangelion, which is Greek for gospel. He can't get out of this. And it's singular, meaning good news. So that's refuted. Second point, he said, made it very, very clear. He was like, oh, it's only the original. First of all, show me where it says original in the Quran. It doesn't say that. He adds to his deen, he does bid'ah and he innovates. Second of all, in the Arabic, and scholars will tell you this, Ma baina yadayhi, it confirms what is in their hands. The hands of the Jews and of the Christians at the time of Muhammad. It affirms what they were reading. the Injil and the Torah in between their hands. That is what it says in your Arabic. And there are Muslims that will tell you this because they're honest. But he can't tell you that. And even if you go into the Arabic, it will say quite clearly it's in between their hands. Not some mysterious original thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago. The Quran makes it clear. It believes it is confirming the Injil and the Gospel. He then made a big, he won't answer this question. What was it originally written in? The original Injil was written in Greek, just like how you borrowed the word from Greek. Yes. So thank you very much. And it's like, it can't be Greek because Jesus, are you going to say Jesus didn't speak Greek? How do you know that? Tell me that from the Quran. The Quran doesn't say that. It says that they only send prophets to speak in their home language. This was a Hellenized region. Jesus would have spoke Greek as well as Aramaic. And just like that, his points have been refuted. He doesn't have anything else. He depends on scholarship that is fringe. Most scholars, Bar Ehrman would say the Injil is Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. N.T. Wright would say the Injil is Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. Gary Habermas would say that the Injil is Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. Show me any secular atheist. Richard Carrier would say the Gospel is Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. Show me anyone else who would say, no, it's not. It's the Gospel of Barnabas, it's the Gospel of Thomas, it's the infancy Gospel of James, anything like that. Show me the scholars who support your view.
Time up. So ladies and gentlemen, did you see him ignore my questions? Yes? Did he answer my question? Did he answer my question? Wait, start my time. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, Chris ignored my questions because they are devastating for Christianity. When they claim something comes from Jesus and they don't know. They don't know what language Jesus spoke. Tell him to present the evidence that we have evidence that this is the language Jesus spoke. Evidence. Remember the word evidence. When he claims Jesus spoke Aramaic or Greek, evidence. If there is no evidence, there is nothing. Likewise, what language did Moses speak? The Quran mentions the Injil and the Torah. So the Quran cannot possibly be referring to what they possess as the four Gospels, because the Quran doesn't mention the four Gospels. The Quran mentions the Torah, the law of the Jews, and the message of Jesus Christ, which is Injil, the original message. And now how do we find it? The Quran tells us how to find it. When the Quran says that what they possess, the Quran means that there are remnants of the truth. We still believe that whatever is contained within the Gospels and in Torah, there are remnants of truth. There are true verses there that can be found that were originally given by Moses and Jesus. We have no doubt in that. We are quite consistent. We don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. Brother, don't show me anything, I'm talking. Okay, wait. Okay. So we don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. You know why? You know why? Because we are very consistent. We're not like these extremists. We don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. We're not blind. We look into the Gospels and we take them seriously. The Gospel of Matthew, the Gospel of Luke. I believe when the Gospel of Mark attributes the words to Jesus Christ, that he said to a Jewish man, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord." We believe that. We believe that Jesus said that. We believe that. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, do we believe other parts of the Gospels? Absolutely not, because they cannot be attributed to Jesus Christ. Time up. Go ahead.
Alright, first of all, his first point. How do you know that Jesus spoke Greek and Aramaic? Simple, the actual Gospel accounts themselves attested that he probably did. Why? Because he spoke with people, Pontius Pilate, who was a Roman who would have only known Greek or Latin. Yes. The best explanation for this is that Jesus also knew Greek. Simple. Right. Second of all, it was a Hellenized region for hundreds of years. To be Hellenized means that you would have been owned by the Romans and the Greeks, and that would have meant that you would have most likely have spoken Greek. Brilliant, refuted. Then he goes, forget what I just said about all these other Gospels possibly being the Injil. Let's pretend that actually Matthew, Mark, Luke and John are the Injil. Yeah, we believe that some parts of it are the Injil. He just contradicted himself. He just spent the earlier part of the debate telling you it wasn't the Injil, and the Gospel of Thomas is the Injil. And now he's saying, actually, they are the Injil, but they've been corrupted. That's a different claim. He's just told you two separate things. So thank you for affirming that Matthew, Mark, Luke and John are the Injil the Quran talks about, but they have been corrupted. That's a different claim from saying that the Gospel of Thomas is actually the Injil. Now, is this going to help him? No, it's not going to help him. Why is it not going to help him?
Why?
Because the idea that the Injil was corrupted is not to be found in your Quran. First and foremost, it's bid'ah. Second of all, the idea that it's corrupted, you have to explain when it was corrupted. Was it corrupted before Muhammad, in which case Muhammad confirmed a corrupted book? Or was it corrupted after Muhammad, in which case we could check the earliest manuscripts to know what Muhammad would have known? And we can refute you because they say exactly what our Bibles say today.
Right.
Okay. He wants to stop. You want to stop?
that's fine.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. He ignored my questions again. What language? Okay, when I mentioned that give me the evidence that Jesus spoke Greek, he has no evidence. No, probably. Remember the word probably. Okay, wait. Ladies and gentlemen, he used the word probably. Probability is not evidence. Evidence is evidence. Evidence shows you that something is a fact. Okay? Probability is not an evidence. That's an insinuation. That's an inference. Okay? So understand what evidence means. So you don't know what language Jesus spoke. I assume, or I conclude rather, that you don't know what language Jesus spoke. You don't know what language Moses spoke. And if that's the case, then you cannot possibly claim to have the original. And you don't have the original. No Christian scholar, I challenge him, and watch him ignore my question again. All these scholars, Trinitarian scholars, he keeps mentioning, he keeps beating the drums. Okay, ask him now to show me one of them who ever claimed that we have the original teachings of Jesus Christ or the original Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. If he can show me one of them who said that we have the original Gospel of John, the original Gospel of Mark, Matthew and Luke. Okay, now, corruption. Coming to the issue of corruption. He says the Quran says the books of the Jews and the Christians are corrupted, and then he's contradicted himself. He's not listening to me. I never said the Gospel of Thomas is the Injil the Quran is referring to. He asked me a question. Show me a gospel where the Trinity is denied, and I showed him the Gospel of Thomas. That's all I was saying. The Quran doesn't mention any gospel by name. The Quran doesn't even acknowledge their authenticity. The Quran states that whatever they possess, there are remnants of the teachings of Moses and Jesus there. Even though they are corrupted, the Quran makes a very categorical claim in chapter 2 verse 79 that the books the Jews have written with their own hands, and then they claim these books are from God, are actually not from God. Actually they are not from God. So what books? The scripture of the Jewish people, right? So the Quran, what is the Quran saying? What is the Quran saying then? Where is the contradiction? There's no contradiction. Okay, time is up.
Okay,
Answer my questions.
First of all, he said probability is not evidence. I love that. That's a great soundbite. If it's more probable than not that something is true, is that evidence you should believe it? It is.
No.
It's not. If it's more probable than not that something is true, that's not evidence you should believe it.
No.
That's amazing. He believes in things that are not probable.
You never have probabilities when there's evidence. Reset my time. Start. Is it probable that you're a human being?
Reset my time.
Is it probable that you're a human being?
Reset my time.
Is it probable? Is it probable that you're a human being?
He said, if I interrupted him, we would start it.
Yeah, start again. No problem. Fair enough. So don't play these games.
Right, so there you are then.
Don't play these games.
First of all, he's wrong there. The evidence I gave is strong evidence that yes, he probably did. The area was Greek, it was heavily Hellenized, and he spoke to Pontius Pilate, who would have likely only known Greek or Latin. There you are. Second point, he was like, watch him avoid this question. Show me one scholar that says that we still have the original manuscripts, which I'm guessing is what you're
I didn't say that. I didn't ask that.
No, you said the original Gospel of John.
Yes.
Again, restart it. You interrupted again.
Yeah, no problem. Start again. No problem. Start again.
Here we go.
But don't lie on me. Don't deliberately do this. Don't lie deliberately. Don't miss it. I said Gospels. Original Gospels.
Right. The original Gospel.
Yes.
Did I ever say that I have made a case here for the original Gospels preserved as manuscripts? No. Why? Because the Gospels preserved on manuscripts are written on palimpsest. No, sorry, not palimpsest. Papyrus. Papyrus is dried leaves. Yes. Papyrus degrades over about 10, 20, 30 years.
Right.
We would no academic scholar, Bart Ehrman, N.T. Wright, Daniel Wallace, Richard Carrier would ever expect to have the originals. Likewise, we don't have the originals of the Quranic manuscripts, even though they were written on vellum, which is a form of parchment.
That's right.
So, refuted there. I did answer your question on that.
No, you did not.
Diverted.
No, let me get back to this.
You diverted.
So, now he keeps trying to say, oh, the Quran makes it very clear. In chapter 2, was it 78, 79? I believe it was, or was it 78 or 79 and none? You can tell me
No,
that
chapter 5.
No, he
verse
quoted
78.
something.
Also chapter
279.
5, verse
I think it was
13 to
279. Let me read it out. So woe to those who distort the scripture with their own hands. Then say, this is from Allah, seeking a fleeting gain. So woe to them for what their hands have written, and woe to them for what they have earned. Did that verse say either the Torah or the Injil have been corrupted by the Jews or the Christians?
That's the context, yes. That's the context.
All it says is that a group of them wrote something and claimed it was the Torah or the Injil.
Right.
That's a massive difference. He's being deceptive. He's run out of arguments. He now has to take things out of context. I challenge you to show me a clearer verse. After all, does the Quran not say it is a clear book? If it is, he can show me a verse where it says that the Injil and the Torah have been corrupted. Show me that, or is it just bid'ah in your religion? Give me my time.
Okay.